The Showdown Podcast presents the Survivor Series with Corey Miller, Vic Miller, and Brad Scott. This week's episode, Ghostbusters 2. Welcome to the Showdown Podcast. This is a Survivor Series episode, and today we are going to be discussing Ghostbusters 2, the 1989 sequel to the 1984 classic, and I am joined as always by Corey Miller and Vic Miller.
What's up?
Boys, how are you?
All right.
I'm very well.
Good. Here we are. This is in honor of what, Corey?
This is in honor of the new Ghostbusters coming out this weekend.
Mm-hmm. Is it this weekend?
Yes, it is.
I don't think so. Isn't it July?
Yes, it is July.
This weekend's not July,
It's
buddy.
not July.
July is... Oh.
Next week is
No,
July.
no. He's... You know what, Vic? This is for both of us right out the gate.
It dawned on me just as...
Of course, coming out this weekend. The new Ghostbusters.
For fuck's sake.
With an all-female cast.
Corey actually got a reel, for fuck's sake, against us.
Yeah, no, he you know what, Corey? You know what? This just might be your day. It's a lot harder than it looks, huh, Vic? Yeah, it's hard to get just right on cue when you don't have a fucking like soundboard already set up. You have to you go through apps. Yeah, I know. Believe me, the struggle is real. So the new Ghostbusters is coming out now. We'll talk about we'll get into that film and our thoughts on that, on the remake reboot.
We'll do that later.
A little later. But it is an all-female cast. There's been a lot of controversy surrounding that for multiple reasons. But we're here to talk about the original sequel, Ghostbusters 2, and
Electric Boogaloo.
I mean, is it one of the greatest sequels in history?
I would say it's probably one of the only sequels that I would say is a successful second run of a movie. Most sequels don't quite have the impact that they have, but this one was actually...
Well, let me ask you that. For that time, right? Because it feels like now sequels almost always do better, right?
Right.
I mean, Spider-Man...
Well, you have to remember that like now they're doing it as the first one is the origin story, the second one is the actual story, as opposed to two movies telling a complete story.
Is The Conjuring 2 the last one that's kind of a true sequel where it's not... it didn't seem to be a franchise, but then you get the sequel?
Yeah.
I don't know if they actually planned it when they came out with
That's what I'm saying. Like the Avengers, that's what Vic was saying. Like the Avengers, Iron Man, all that stuff. They're planning these movies to be multiple, and people know that going in.
Yeah, but
that may be why and that is definitely a different realm in comic books because the story's always going to progress. Mm-hmm. Whereas a movie like this, I'm guessing they probably hadn't planned a sequel when they wrote the original.
Yeah, that's my guess.
So The Conjuring's kind of in that category. What else really has there been?
Well, you had...
last 15 years.
Well, Paranormal Activity, those films.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So it's horror kind of then.
You don't think that they planned those after the
I
first
really
two?
don't.
I don't think
I
so
think
either.
because it was so low budget, it was such a gamble. I mean, it could have easily been something that went into the theaters for 2 weeks and then went to on demand.
I think with the first one, they were like, because they made it for so cheap, and then it made so much money, they're like, oh, wait, we've got something here. And I
Saw?
think that's...
Well, see, I think, but that's what I'm saying. Like the second one, that was
No. I
we
think
weren't
after
planning
the
on making
second one,
Yeah.
they knew. But we're talking about when they did the original,
Right.
not knowing
Did they
that
already
it's...
have a plan?
Yeah, like
Okay.
with
Gotcha.
comic book movies, they know they're doing three of these. Whereas the Conjuring, and it seems to be mostly horror movies. They go Barbershop maybe falls into that category.
Oh God, yeah.
I doubt they had written multiple movies for that.
Well, considering it's been 10 years since the first one came out.
Well, yeah, and now they just had the third, which I did not go see. I watched part of the second. It was just like
Yeah.
So, but this sequel, I did not go
No.
I remember it as a kid, and I loved it. I loved Ghostbusters. I watched the cartoon.
Yeah.
I had all the action figures with the little plastic stuff that they each were different colors and everything that comes out of the proton guns.
Twist it. And
Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely. I had the little bigger rubber Slimer toy. I had the Ecto 1. I had the whole thing. I think I had the Firehouse if it was available, I'm sure.
I think it was.
Yeah, I had wealthy grandparents.
That'll do it.
But I remember I was 7 years old, but I can remember watching this in the theater. I don't remember, obviously, a lot of the details, but I just remember going to the movie theater and sitting down to watch this.
Yeah, I remember seeing the movie in the theater.
Well, I mean, I'm surprised you do because at your age.
Yeah.
But it's probably hard. It's probably hard to remember your 40s at your age now.
I just thought of something, and I may be jumping the movie here a bit, but was there a scene with Bobby Brown in it making a cameo? Okay.
Yeah, where
he was the doorman for
Yeah.
the mayor.
Okay.
And he's like, hey, can I get one of those proton packs for my brother? He really likes that thing.
Okay.
And he's like, I think that's a bad idea.
Another example of Bobby Brown not knowing this was a movie. He was sincerely asking for the proton pack. He thought being the door guy for the mayor would set him up for that. By the way, funny story about Bobby Brown, which is also kind of an ironic twist to this movie. I'm seeing right now.
I know where you're going with this one.
Have you heard this?
I've heard this, yes.
So Bobby Brown did a radio interview, and I'm going to go ahead and hopefully play this without an advertisement from YouTube. No, and they're making me do that 30 seconds.
Used by this bank.
You had sex with a ghost?
A ghost, yeah.
Come on, man. Tell me about it.
I moved into this house. I bought this mansion in Georgia. So this was a really, really spooky place. But yes, one time I woke up and, a ghost. I was being mounted by a ghost. I wasn't high.
That was my next question.
That was my next question.
Were you tripping?
No, I was not tripping.
You've had quite a life.
I've had some crazy situations.
I was being mounted by a ghost.
So great.
Here's the thing. If you remember in the first movie, Ray has sex with a ghost. I think he just was so high that he thought he was Ray. Having sex with a ghost.
So, yeah, Bobby Brown was in this movie, but all right. So, Vic, why don't you guide us through?
All right. So, this movie starts out 5 years after the Ghostbusters had saved New York from impending doom by Gozer the Gozerian.
Do you guys ever find this? I actually like it when sequels go in real time.
Yeah.
From like the time of the first movie. I don't know why, but I find that fun.
Well, that and they actually do kind of it gives you that progression of what's been going on. Like you haven't really missed out on everything. Mm-hmm. They fill you in what's happening. But 5 years later, they have been shunned by the city of New York's government body. The mayor has, after they did that, they basically named them as frauds. Charlatans that planned and did the whole thing just to make some money.
Like, I'm sorry, but come on. Like, there's a giant marshmallow.
It was a
man.
ploy to get out of paying the bill, and they actually
true.
They tell them that a little later on in the beginning of the movie. But Ray is Peter Venkman has moved on to. He has his own psychic TV show. I'm not sure what exactly the premise of the TV show
is.
Well,
they get paranormal people on there. Yeah,
psychics on there, and they talk. And Winston, did you see what Winston was doing? Did it show what he was doing?
No, it didn't. He was
him and Ray were doing the parties.
Oh, they were doing the birthday parties. Yeah, that's right.
They just did that. But
so Ray and Winston were doing birthday parties, going to kids' houses, singing the theme song to Ghostbusters.
Hey, yeah, and dancing. And here's the thing: if that was Corey, because I'm sure they did conventions as well, Corey would be like, fucking Winston from Ghostbusters. Remember the guys that saved New York? He's charging $20 for an autograph and wanting $20 for a picture. Fuck that guy. Who the hell does he think he is? Oh, he saved the world. That was 5 years ago, bruh.
You're irrelevant. I don't have to pay.
Yeah, really, you should just give me the photo. You should do what I want you to do for less money. Because I think it's bull. You know what? The Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, he'll do a picture and a photo.
And a bumper.
And a bumper. Yeah. I'm the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. You're listening to the So Yeah Podcast. I don't know why I gave him Tyrannosaurus Rex arms. I did Tyrannosaurus Rex. That's as close as I could get.
Good Lord.
That was awful, by the way.
So Ray and Winston are doing that. Ray also has his own occult shop. It's an occult bookstore, which has the oddest hours in the world. They're open till 7 o'clock on weeknights and 12 o'clock on Saturdays.
Yeah, that's a strange jump.
Yeah, it's a weird thing. And then Egon is running experiments on people's emotional states.
Probably the most successful post-Ghostbustering.
Yeah, that most definitely. So he is doing tests on people's emotional states and how their emotions affect the environment. Is what he's up to. Starts off with us seeing Sigourney Weaver as she has apparently broken up with Peter, progressed on to marry some other guy that was in the orchestra with her, has a kid, and apparently that dude dipped out right after the baby was born. Because for some reason she's got a fully fledged divorce already on her hands and a kid. The beginning of the movie shows her walking down the street. She rolls through some pink goo, which then possesses her baby buggy, and the baby buggy takes off down the New York streets, avoiding all the people, and all the people avoiding it for some reason because a runaway baby carrier with a kid and a mom chasing after it isn't something you want to stop.
No, I'm sure that's still instinctive.
To get out of the way of a baby carriage?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if it's kind of coming fast, depends.
And a woman screaming behind it, "Stop my baby!"
Some people were trying; they were just missing.
No,
you didn't see that? Some people, some people were trying.
I saw more people jumping out of the way than anything else.
So the baby carriage goes down the street, ends up in the road, almost gets hit by a car, but she gets to it first. And
bus.
The baby out.
No, not a car, a bus.
A bus.
It stops right before the bus goes by.
Best brakes on a city bus ever. So she stops, she gets the kid, and she realizes there's something weird going on. So she takes him to Egon to have him looked at because she wants Egon to check and see if there's anything weird going on. And she asks him to promise not to tell Peter that she's coming around again because she doesn't want anything to do with him right now. So they make their promises, but of course that's not going to stand up because Peter is too good at weaseling shit out of people.
Which, by the way, Bill Murray, kudos to him for pulling off balding with bad skin and being a leading man in several movies. Like, you don't see that a whole lot.
No.
You don't see bald. That just shows how charming that guy is. How likable he is. It's just likability, right?
Yeah, of course.
I mean, because, you hear the stories all the time, right? He'll go up to people and he'll, cover their eyes and, whisper, "No one's ever going to believe this happened." And then they turn around and it's Bill Murray.
Yeah, he sneaks into people's pictures when people are taking pictures.
Showed up,
walk up and take a picture with
shows
him.
Up at he played kickball one time. Showed up for a kickball game.
I think there was a rumor that there was a phone number or an email that you could call and you can actually request that him show up and just see if he actually showed up or not.
And he would?
Yeah.
Huh.
Why haven't you put this in for the show?
I was about to say, I'm surprised you haven't tried this yet.
Well, I would have, but this was a few years ago.
Oh,
so that
he's done with it now?
Yeah, I think so.
Probably meet one too many creeps.
Yeah,
he's like, yeah, we're not doing this anymore.
Because you have to think about the people that are like, it's either going to be like some college kids who think it's awesome and it's just a fun thing, or it's going to be like a guy who has several pictures of Bill Murray up in his house with candles all around him and is like sacrificing animal blood to make it happen.
Nobody's supposed to know about that.
That does sound like Corey. Could you give me a bumper for my podcast?
And you would shit your pants if I got it, so shut up.
I don't know if I'd shit my pants. I might get an erection.
Yeah, close enough.
So continue, Vic.
Yes.
So Dana, after visiting the guys, Dana goes to her new job, which she works at the Manhattan Museum of Art. And she is a restoration specialist working on some old artwork that's come in. A legendary 16th century tyrant named Vigo the Carpathian. There is a life-size framed picture of him that they're working on, and she's
Thought that was Kelsey Grammer at first.
it was the receding hairline.
Yeah, and I could have sworn I heard that thing singing, the tossed salad and scrambled eggs. It's coming again.
His full name was Vigo von Homburg Duschendorf. Now, that's important because the actor who plays Vigo, his last name is von Homburg.
Von Homeboy?
Yeah, so that's part of that. And then the twins who play Oscar, the baby, their last name is Duschendorf. So they took
Duschendorf?
Yeah, so they took.
Are you sure it's not Dusseldorf?
I don't.
Is that an SH?
I don't speak
Duschendorf?
whatever.
It might no. It looks like Duschendorf.
Yeah, it looks like Duschendorf. So they took the twins' last name and the actor that plays Vigo's last name, stuck them together along with Vigo.
If they, I bet when they get introduced to people, they're like, oh, this is the Duschendorf twins. Oh, which one's the douche? Which one's the dwarf?
and as a side note, the twins are nephews of John Denver, whose real name is Henry Duschendorf.
Well, there we go.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of for you know knowledge. So after
Hold on, Vic.
Which
one is it gonna be?
I don't know. Thank you.
he just sits there panting. He's got his hands on a button. He's got his hand on a button.
Where's
What do I get? What do I get?
Thank
Okay.
Holy shit! They're rolling in. So she works for this little guy. I don't remember what's his name. Corey, help me out here.
Oh, hold
she's
on.
working
Doctor. Is it Doctor Jonazef?
It's Janos Poha.
Janos.
Janos.
That's what it was.
Janos.
Janos. That's why I
Yes.
couldn't get it. So Janos Poha is the curator.
Swedish. J's are always silent. It's always Jan, or not silent, but Jan.
Yeah, it's H.
Yeah.
So she's working for this guy. He's a creepy little dude, and she's working for him. And he's the one that's working on the Carpathian artwork to try to restore it. And he notices that there's something wrong. Like we notice right away because there's a push out scene where basically his forehead comes out of the picture and recedes back in. So that's to let us know that there's something going on with this.
It's like a
picture.
6-head.
Yeah, most definitely. And Corey actually commented that was like some really good special effects for the day.
Yeah, that was actually for that time period, and even now, the effect is pretty good. Now, as far as the effects for the rest of the movie, something else to talk about.
Yeah, I think there's several.
I think we found the Duschendorf of the show.
the Duschendorf of this episode.
Well, it's like they blew all their effect budget right on that one right there.
Yeah, some other pretty good ones. So they decide they start tracking down.
Hold on. They make the Statue of Liberty walk through the streets of New York, and that looked pretty good.
That was somebody in a costume and using miniatures as they walked through. Yeah, that was you couldn't tell that.
I thought it looked good. It looked like the Statue of Liberty walking, did it not?
Yeah, but it's not a special effect.
I think
What?
that
It's just an effect.
It's a practical effect, but it's still considered special effects because they made the building look like it was real size.
Yeah.
So
I
it's
thought
considered-
that was
it's still
CGI'd. That's how good it was.
Okay.
until you see that one. There's one part in there that destroyed the whole thing for me because it really did look good up until the point where they show him crush the car. And then you can completely see that is a painted in scene behind the foot because the way that they did it. That was the only thing that.
I didn't notice because I thought it looked good when they smashed the car.
Well, it's because you were out in the garage before the movie too.
Everything was a little fuzzy beforehand.
Man, this movie is amazing.
All right, so they go and they track down the source of this goo, and they figure out where they think it's coming out of, where it's coming out of, and why the baby carriage stopped on this spot. So they figured that's where it's concentrating at. It was trying to return back to from whence it came. So they basically start jackhammering into the First Avenue in the middle of the night. They get accosted by the cops who want to know why they're doing it. They don't have a straight answer for them directly. They keep giving them runaround. Oh, we're with Con Ed. We're with the phone company. We're with the gas company. In the meantime, they're digging down. They get Ray lowered down into this hole, and he finds a river of ectoplasmic goo flowing under the city in this old abandoned subway tunnel, in which they, as they're having this conversation, the goo starts to grow tentacles that are trying to grab him as he's hanging from there, and he's screaming for them to bring him back up while they're distracted by the cops and the mayor's assistant or somebody that came out there to give him a hard time.
Played by Kurt Fuller, who makes a return. We originally saw him in No Holds Barred.
They pull him out of the hole, and they get arrested and taken to jail and then subsequently arraigned. The judge in their arraignment has, right off the bat, just starts yelling, "We are not going to talk about ghosts, demons, or anything else supernatural in this proceeding," in which they're like, "Oh, that's fine. Our lawyer will get us off." Played by Rick Moranis.
Which, if at the time in between the two movies, they had debuted on TV the cartoon The Real Ghostbusters, and in that he actually becomes their lawyer, and actually, what was it? The lawyer and their accountant. So that's why he's kind of the character
meshed
himself is kind of changed a little bit.
That was a good year for Rick Moranis. Honey, I Shrunk the Kids came out that year as well.
Mm. Well, and the along with that, the cartoon became such a hit and made them so much money. Like you said, you had almost all of the merchandise from the original movie. But when they made that cartoon, they had basically established what the Ghostbusters had been up to in the interim times, and Slimer was living with them. Rick Moranis was working for them, and they kind of worked that back into this movie, in which they actually brought Slimer back because he was so popular in the cartoons. They put him back in this movie as like living in their headquarters. So he was only in that movie because the cartoon had such a huge hit. It was such a huge hit, they decided to put him in the movie again. And
also because it was such a huge hit with the kids, they actually they changed the characters' personalities a bit too. And if you notice, they don't smoke. There is, I think, Ray actually has a cigar, but it's unlit at one. But other than that, there's no smoking.
Pussying up the Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
This is a very 80s movie.
And they also toned down any innuendos. Like in the first one, there was little innuendos that they had.
Can you really tone down Bill Murray's innuendos? I think everything that comes out of his mouth is probably double.
Honestly, there really wasn't a lot. If any at all. I don't think I noticed it.
It definitely felt more commercialized and family friendly.
Yeah, yeah.
Than the original, which is to be expected.
Well, and it's fine too. I mean, it still works.
Mm-hmm.
So they are in court. Rick Moranis is supposed to be defending them. Probably not the best person to have as your defense lawyer. And the district attorney is on the mayor's side, and he wants them fried. They had an injunction on them from ever doing any kind of paranormal ghost. What they say, ghost eradication or study. In the state of New York, so they weren't supposed to be doing anything that had anything to do with a ghost, ectoplasm, or anything. And because they did, they broke the injunction. So they were on trial for that. They were making a good argument, or at least trying to, which was not working out because they let Rick Moranis talk for them. At one point, Peter Venkman is actually giving him what he should be saying, and she objects to it and says that he's leading the witness when the witness was actually leading him, which I thought was hilarious. Mm-hmm. They go on to.
Well, I also like Rick Moranis when his initial. What was his initial argument? How he ends his opening statement?
It was they turned me into a dog and saved me or something like that.
I got turned into a dog and they saved me. Thank you, Your Honor.
It was real simple.
So they go on with the.
Hold on, I think I got it here. God damn it! I think I have the Rick Moranis scene. after a 15-second commercial.
You know,
Leave a second after.
Making Corey work.
yeah.
Your Honor, ladies and gentlemen of the audience,
The audience.
I don't think it's fair to call my clients frauds. Okay, so the blackout was a big problem for everybody, okay? I was stuck in an elevator for 2 hours and I had to make the whole time. But I don't blame them, because one time I turned into a dog and they helped me. Thank you.
Wait a minute, is it me or did anybody else? Did it sound like he
He
said
said
the black guy was a problem?
Yes.
Hey, listen to this.
Okay? I was... Your Honor, ladies and gentlemen of the audience, I don't think it's fair to call my clients frauds. Okay, so the blackout was a big problem for everybody.
He does say blackout, but it does sound,
Sound like
black
the black guy was a big problem for everybody.
What's going on here?
Hit it again.
That's racist. What the f- is going on here?
Okay, so the blackout was a big problem for everybody, okay?
I think I know my next sound clip I'm gonna get for whenever Vic, whenever Vic hits you with something hard, it's gonna be.
Okay, so the blackout was a big problem for everybody, okay?
So the black guy was a big problem for everybody. Okay.
So he proclaims that they're innocent. They shouldn't be tried for this because they've been a help to the city. Now, like I said earlier, the city decided that to do this to them because they wanted to name them as frauds. They didn't want to pay them how much they owed them. So that's why the injunction happened in the first place. And they wanted this. They wanted them buried, basically. But they had the goo that he collected from the hole on the evidence table, and the more the judge got pissed off during sentencing, the more the goo bubbled up, and it bubbled up until it basically exploded into the Scoleri brothers, which were two murderers that he had sentenced to death in the electric chair earlier that year, I guess, or something. I don't know exactly what had happened, but judging by what they were wearing and what they looked like, I don't know how he did that, but it was a little interesting.
Well, we made the comment that once they become ghosts, they become very cartoonish looking. I can't help but think that has to do because of the real Ghostbusters cartoon.
Okay, but what about
they
the
were-
running? But my argument with that is, what about the guy that was running down the thing? He looked like a normal
That's
human.
true. That's true.
Like I don't know why they made
Vic,
it
ghosts
so,
come in all shapes and sizes.
I guess so.
What about the Corey of the movie?
Vigo
Slimer?
Slimer.
I thought I was Vigo.
I think you're more of a Slimer.
He was eating all the food and farting.
Your belching leans you more towards Slimer. With all that carbonation he puts into his
I
body.
have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh, we have plenty.
Yeah.
It's documented.
I'm pretty sure
Not on this.
I'm pretty sure your stomach walls are just lined with Diet Pepsi and root beer.
So the Scoleri brothers come flying out of the goo and terrorize everyone in the room. Everyone runs out. He grabs the prosecutor and by her ankles and takes her out of the room.
Hey,
Comes
he's been
back
locked up for a long time.
He wanted to look down that skirt. So they take her out of the room. They come back in. The Ghostbusters have now put on their packs, which they said they have not used in years. And Egon informs them that the battery life on those things are like 5,000 years or something like that.
Yeah.
That's a half-life.
The half-life.
The half-life
yeah.
on the cell is 5,000 years.
So the ghosts come back in the room. Peter grabs the first one. Ray grabs the second one. Egon grabs the ghost trap. They get them right back in the swing of things. They trap the ghosts
This is
and
after,
they're back in action.
After
But
making a deal with the judge
yeah.
to drop all the charges.
only after the judge agreed to lift the injunction against them, because obviously ghosts are real and he now knows it because the Scoleri brothers are trying to kill him. So they capture the Scoleri brothers, and then we go into a montage of ghost captures.
montage.
So this is the 80s montage section of the
We're
movie.
gonna do a montage.
Montage.
I've always said life would be so much better if montages were real. You know how much shit I would get accomplished?
Right?
I could get through a breakup a lot easier. I could look for a new job, I could grow up as a human being and mature.
If they did a montage of all your shows, just think of all the money you'd have afterwards.
Oh, because I wouldn't be allowed to touch it because it'd
Yeah.
just be through a
'Cause
montage.
you go through
Well,
the
yeah,
montage.
that's always what happens, man. You
collect
just
at the end.
you hit your lowest. I don't know. I guess maybe I have to fuck up really badly and then just skip ahead to hey, now I've got this whole new great life. So yeah, they capture the Scolari brothers, and then they're back in action. They open up the new firehouse, or the old firehouse, with a new sign that for some reason, marketing, has the ghost with holding up the two.
Yeah.
Because apparently since this is the second time they're being Ghostbusters.
Right.
They've decided to change the logo to reflect that.
They had to get a new business license.
Oh, you know what that was?
They have the old one, so they had
That was so that everybody that was buying all that old Ghostbuster shit had to buy new Ghostbuster shit. To look.
But the old Ghostbuster shit now became worth money now.
That's
so now
true.
it's a collector's item. So it works out.
And yeah, they have the whole firehouse thing going, and they hire the redhead, which was played by
That was Annie Potts.
Annie Potts.
Janine.
Gee, I had that right on the tip of my tongue, didn't
Who
I?
who is she? By the way, what else is she known for?
She was on Designing Women back in the 80s. Not that I watched that show. Truthfully, my mom watched it, but I had a crush on her, so, whatever.
Goddamn lie.
Hey, she helped me through puberty. What can I say?
And yeah, once they open up the new thing, business kind of picks up.
Right.
Tons of ghosts, like you mentioned, the real life dude running down the sidewalk.
Yeah.
What else?
Checking his pulse because apparently he died on that run. He had his finger on his neck, like he was checking his pulse. He must have keeled over during that.
Maybe
run.
he was listening for heart rate.
Maybe.
And what other ghosts did we see? Corey, you remember any of the other ones?
I don't remember the other ones.
Wonderful contribution.
Yep.
Vic?
During that first one, they showed them coming out of a number of different places. They only showed mainly those two ghosts.
Wait, that's also where we realized it was a Christmas movie, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
because they actually, before we noticed it was a Christmas movie, they did come out of the one shop with
the Christmas Santa hats.
on.
Yeah.
But then we actually noticed it and mentioned it when you see Santa Claus outside of the one.
So,
building.
Corey, is it a Christmas movie?
It is a Christmas movie.
That's right.
But didn't you say Die Hard was not a Christmas movie?
Hey, I'm just going by...
And
yeah.
Die Hard
Hard
even had Christmas music in it.
And actually takes place on Christmas, right?
This actually takes place on New Year's Eve as well, too. Shortly before New Year's Eve, because the guy that's on Venkman's TV
No, but
show,
I'm saying if you're going to say Die Hard's
he's
not
trying
a
to get out
Christmas
of
movie, you can't say this
I
one
know.
is.
I'm saying that because everybody says that Die Hard is. So based on your guys' rules, yeah, this is a Christmas movie. Also, there's a Christmas tree in Venkman's apartment as well, too.
And there's one, I think, in one of the government buildings as well, too.
I didn't notice that one.
Or maybe one of the museum or something. But yeah, they see tons of ghosts, and things are going good. They have new commercials.
Which are just as corny as the ones in the first movie.
Mm-hmm.
This is perfect. It fits their style.
They're hilarious, though.
So moving through Dana has gone back to her house at this point. She's trying to wash the kid up, get the kid ready for a bath. She runs her water. She's running the water in the bathtub, and goo starts coming in through the faucet. Fills up the bathtub with goo, completely displaces all water that was in there because apparently she forgot to put the stopper in it. And then when she turns around, the bathtub tries to eat her baby.
Now let's go back to the goo. I was going to say it looked like dish soap, like the pink soap, like bath soap. That's what it looked like. Brad thought it looked like something else.
Yeah, it's it's that famous picture of what they make the chicken nuggets with at McDonald's.
And I think he's more on point with that one than my soap. Yeah,
you're correct, Corey.
Yes.
Mine was way better.
So the bathtub tries to eat the baby. She runs off, heads straight for Peter Venkman's house.
One of the bad.
Throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Yep.
Yes.
So she gets to Peter. She tells him that the bathtub tried to eat the baby. They go back to her house and basically go through and try to figure out what's going on.
Such a meat cute.
A what?
Meat cute.
Meat cute.
You don't know what that is?
No.
You know what that is?
I know the term, but I don't know what the definition is.
It's in a romantic comedy where two people fall in love, like whether it's they get into a
where they
fender
meet,
bender.
Cute. Is that what you were
yeah,
saying?
like meat cute. It's called a meat cute.
That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Well, I'm sure it's.
I believe you. I believe that's what you're saying.
No, I was giving you credit on it being the dumbest thing you've ever heard.
Yeah.
And he blew it.
Yeah, he did.
And it's taken as fast as you get them, you can have it taken away. So,
Lord doesn't give with both hands, Vic.
Right. So, using the new term, the meet cute that happens, they get to the house and she tells him what happened. So they go back and they try to investigate what's going on. So he uses this this negative and turns it into a positive, and talks her into staying at his
Spits
house.
that game.
He talks her into staying at his house, and while she's there, she cleans it up, which freaks him the fuck out.
Yeah.
Because all of his stuff has been moved.
And then remember, he gives the baby the sweatshirt, and he says he got it from Joe Namath.
Yeah.
You know the baby's gonna piss on it. Why would you use that sweatshirt? I would use like an
Joe
old
Namath.
T-shirt.
Or a towel.
It's
like a bath towel.
I don't know how well you could wrap the towel around. The shirt works better because
Because of the arms.
Yeah, the arms.
So they move in. They take up residence. And Peter's, he wants to get back with Dana, so he's doing everything he can. He gets her a babysitter. He tells Janine that she's working overtime. She's going to come over and babysit, and he's going to take her out. In the meantime, the other three have donned their...
Holy shit.
Scared the fuck out of me. That's not a ghost, by the way. That's Vic's fucking
the
whatever.
most amazing look on his face I've ever seen in
And
my life.
that is not getting cut out of this.
And that is the
episode.
7th time I've heard that tonight, and every time I'm just like, what the fuck is that? And I don't even believe in ghosts. I'm an atheist. I don't believe in any spiritual shit or anything, and I kept thinking that it's haunted.
It's from Overwatch. It's just a game sound.
What are you using that for? What alert is that?
It's my notification when I'm at work. It's so loud I can hear that when it goes off.
I know, but we're not recording this in an arcade.
No, it's my notification for text messages.
If you would have
You asked
seen
the
the
question.
look on Brad and I's face, we looked at each other like,
It was
what
amazing.
the fuck was
But it was
that?
fear. It was honestly like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Die. Jesus.
God,
So-
especially when we're talking about a movie with ghosts. That doesn't help.
Ooh, I'm checking my pulse right now.
Just don't run. You won't get trapped. So the guys show up, and they are in rain slickers and wading boots. And they tell Peter he's got to come with them, and he uses his girl to deflect them, as many of us do when we don't want to say no to the guys, but we know we're going to get in trouble if we try to go with them. He asks Dana if she wants to go with him, and she just walks away and hails a cab.
And he's just like, hey, I gotta go get that
He's
pussy,
like,
bro.
well,
Sorry, bro. Trying to get that tang.
gash or cash. I'm going with the gash. So he goes after her.
Hold on. In fact, you know what? Let's double down on that. Trying
He
to
goes
get that
after her.
gash.
They head for the sewer. They go down in the sewer, which I think this is one of my favorite scenes in the movie. They get down into the sewer. They're heading for the sewer. They get down there, and the goo or whatever the emanation from the goo is trying to stop them. So as they're walking down this tunnel, these heads on spikes pop out of nowhere and scare the piss out of them.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
I liked that.
And then and they were pretty gruesome. Like one of them was just like mummified looking face. There were some pretty gruesome ones. And then they just disappear, and they're like, all right, this thing's messing with us. It doesn't want us down here, so let's go. They start walking in. They start hearing a train coming. They're like, look, there's been no trains down here since like 1870. There's no train coming. Don't worry about it. They start walking, and a ghost train shows up. Both Ray and Egon jump out of the way and leave Winston in the middle of the walkway with the train just passing through his body. The look on his face is fucking classic.
Same thing we would do to you, Vic.
And
by
what
the way.
happens to I don't know if you noticed, but by the time when he went into there, his hair started out looking like mine, and it came out looking like Corey's when it was over.
Corey looks like a anime kung fu almost like the dude in Kill Bill. You know what I'm talking about with the
Yeah.
white hair and everything else.
So he
Now it looks like Bill Murray.
So he asked him if he saw the tag that was on the train. He's like, no, I did not. That was probably one of my favorite scenes of the movie. So they proceed on. They find the river of goo, and they're trying to figure out like how old it actually is while all this is going on, or how deep it is. Sorry, and they put a tape measure into the goo. Mistake number one: if you're going to do something like that, let's not tie the tape measure to your waist. because it's probably a bad idea. Something in the goo grabbed the tape measure and just kept pulling. Not to mention the fact, did anyone notice there was no weight on the bottom of that thing, and they were putting it into a flowing river, so of course it wasn't going to get to the bottom. It was just going to keep flowing down the river. So it yanks Winston in, and Egon, Ray, they're good dudes. They just jump in after him. I mean, if your buddy goes in, go in with him. They jump in after him. They follow it through, and they disappear into the darkness. We get back to Dana and Peter on their date, and the guys come running in their underwear.
Well, first
because they end up outside of the museum.
Yeah,
that's what
and they start to fight, and then Egon realizes that it's the goo. Here's what I didn't understand. Okay, he said it's the goo that's making them angry and fight each other, right? Mm-hmm. So they take off their clothes.
Well, their jackets.
Their jackets. They're still soaked and covered in it, but they're all of a sudden good to go.
Yeah.
Like polite, nice, apologetic.
I thought that too.
So yeah, then
maybe the amount that they had on them was more of the problem, because obviously the goo can be positively or negatively charged. So maybe all the goo that was down there is 100% negatively charged, and once they got most of it off, then they were able to calm down.
Oh, okay.
Let's give them the benefit of the doubt in that respect.
And then they do show up. They do show up to the date.
Yeah, in a black tie restaurant, in their long johns, one-piece long john outfits that they all had on, with Winston wearing a red one and the other two wearing identical white ones, which is a little weird. So they run in there. The maitre d' gets pissed off and calls the cops on them. The cops come and get them, and for whatever reason, I don't know if I'm right about this, but they called the cops in. How did the mayor's assistant end up involved in that? Did he meet him like at the police station or something? I didn't.
Well, they go talk to the mayor. He's just there.
No. And when they got arrested, he had them committed. He came.
I know, but they met with the mayor first to tell him what was going on.
Yeah, I think
that's when the mayor dismisses him. And
that's right. He dismissed them, and then he had him committed.
He had him committed behind the mayor's back. But he was at the meeting where they're trying to explain what's going on.
Right.
And then that brings us into that. They have him committed to a psychiatric hospital
on a 72-hour hold.
Yeah, run by Bill Murray's brother.
Yes. Brian Doyle Murray.
Mm-hmm. And they are asking them questions. I think one of my favorite scenes is when they're asking them, or when they're explaining everything about it, and then Bill Murray puts his head up and he looks at him. He's like, "Don't look at me. I think they're crazy." Because that's something I would definitely do to both of you.
I don't know these guys.
These guys are fucking nuts. Keep me away from them. While that's all going on.
While that's going on, the mayor, the city is now under siege by ghosts. There are ghosts coming through the archways. There are ghosts coming out of the ground. There's people running around. It's just chaos and pandemonium ensues, and the Ghostbusters are nowhere to be found. And the mayor runs into the war council that they're holding on what they're going to do about all this, and says, "Where are the Ghostbusters? Call the Ghostbusters. We need them." And the mayor's assistant's like, "They're unreachable right now." And he's like, "Why?" He's like, "I had them committed. I was just thinking about you, boss. Really, it was all about your career." And he fires him and proceeds to get the Ghostbusters sprung from the psychiatric ward. They get together. Oh, you know what? I missed a piece. I missed where he stole the baby. That was before this, wasn't it?
Yeah, he's already. I think he steals
the
baby while they are
in the mental institution.
While they're in the mental institution,
yeah, right after they get committed.
Yeah, they went on the date.
Right after they get committed, yeah. Because
she's back at the.
She comes back to the apartment after he gets arrested,
right?
And Rick Moranis and the secretary are making out,
right? And they're all sitting in the living room watching a movie, which they screwed up big time in the continuity point on this, because if you watch, the baby is in the room sleeping, and they have pillows around the baby, and the window opens up, and the breeze starts coming through, and they make sure you see that it's windy, okay? She's sitting there, and her hair starts to blow forward, okay?
Which it shouldn't have blown at all.
Because the door was closed, and an all-glass room. Yeah. So she opens the door.
Ghost, Vic.
There was no ghost. It was just the wind.
No, at that part it was just.
It was just the wind.
But maybe the ghost caused it.
What ghost?
I don't know.
So she opens the door. The baby's gone. She realizes the window's open. She goes over to the window. The baby has crawled along the edge to the very corner of the building and is now standing for the first time on the edge of the building, and the ghost nanny version of Janos or Yanni or whatever the hell his name is shows up to steal the baby, pulls an Elastigirl and grabs the baby and takes off with him.
Looking like the old lady in the Wizard of Oz, before she's the Wicked Witch of the West.
I was thinking Mary Poppins, like a creepy looking Mary Poppins is what I thought he looked like, with the same exact stroller that she had for the baby originally. So he grabs the baby and takes off. The whole point of this is that Vigo needs to come back he needs to possess a new body in order to rule the world. And he wants to possess her baby in order to rule the world. And Janos has talked Vigo into letting him have her as his wife if he gets the baby, and she gets to be the mother of the next god of this world. So that's why they took the baby. So moving forward, they get out, they fight off some of the ghosts, and they realize what's going on. When she goes to the museum to save the baby, the goo starts coming out of every crack and crevice and forms a protective dome around the museum.
So it wasn't a dome, right? It just covered.
No, it was a dome. It was the outside. It went all the way up.
Oh, well, I guess because that was a dome.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the Ghostbusters show up. They try shooting it with their proton packs, and it does not break the dome. It just heats it up. They're trying to figure out how they're going to get in it, but because of the negativity of New Yorkers, which I'm sure New Yorkers are probably pissed off about this whole thing, because the whole point is that New Yorkers are so negative that this ghost is able to take over their city.
I mean, but come on.
So they have to find a way to unify New York City and find a symbol that everyone can rally behind. And as they're having this conversation, Egon is looking down at something. Ray catches on and looks down at it. Everyone starts looking at the license plate on Ecto-1, and they see Lady Liberty. So they decide that they're going to use Lady Liberty to unify all of the New Yorkers and get them to give out positive vibes in order to weaken the protective dome of evil that has them locked in it. So they go to the Statue of Liberty, and they spray it down with the same shit that's been causing problems, but they positively charged it somehow. So their goo is good goo, as opposed to the bad goo that they're trying to defeat. They start playing music.
Well, didn't Egon say he banged it early in the movie? Because he's like, tell me you didn't sleep with it. And then Egon brings over the toaster. And he's just like, oh. So go ahead.
He must have heard that Bobby Brown interview also. So they spray the interior of the Statue of Liberty. They connect it to some music and a battery and a Nintendo power pad controller, and they take Lady Liberty.
It's a Nintendo Entertainment System Advanced Joystick.
It's the power pad.
The power pad was the pad that you step on, like when you're playing track and field. That was the power pad.
Oh, pardon me.
Yep. Hey, I'm just getting it right for those video gamers out there. They'll be like, "What the fuck? That's not right." So there you go, guys.
So she gets in the water. She walks across the Hudson Bay, gets on land, strolls down the mean streets of New York City till she gets to the Manhattan Museum of Art, which, by the way, is not a real thing, just so everyone knows, in case they weren't sure. That's when Corey notices the Twin Towers for the first time as she's walking through the city.
For the towers.
They get to the museum, and I'm going, okay, so what is she going to do to get him in? Like, is she going to peel it like a grape? What's she going to do? I don't understand. So they lean over the skylight of the museum, and she hits it with the torch and breaks the glass and the dome at the same time. Yeah,
which you're really gambling that she's gotten that baby from right underneath all that glass.
Right,
and
which she
herself.
hadn't until 2 seconds before the glass showered where the baby was.
Well, in their defense, they didn't know that the baby was right down there. They
That's
just
true.
knew that was their only way in.
And Corey, the good fight. So they rappel down their zip cords and enter the building to
Zip
fight.
lines?
No, cords.
Zip cords?
Zip cords. To fight Vigo. When they get in there, they realize that they're outmatched again. They spray down Janos with the good goo, and they're talking about, like, is this a bad idea to spray him down? They're like, no, it's positively charged. He's going to wake up super happy. And so that's how they let us know, like, that it is the good stuff. And then Vigo basically beats the crap out of him for a few minutes. He, like, opens his mouth and launches some sort of electrical field that paralyzes them. They talk shit to him for a little while. She talks shit to him for a little while, gets thrown into a closet. And they basically fight their way through the paralysis to get to him while everything's going on.
The citizens start singing.
Right.
They start singing,
They
weaken him, and then while he's being weakened, they're able to move better because his force on them is
weakening, and then they get up and shoot the brother. Meanwhile, Rick Moranis had taken a bus driven by Corey over to the museum because he thought it was on him to rescue the city, and he starts shooting it with the proton pack, which does nothing.
Yeah, we know.
But, yeah, exactly. But as the people are singing and the stuff goes away, the slime all, and after they defeat Vigo, the slime all disappears, and Rick Moranis gets hailed as a hero.
That's right, I did it.
Yeah. Which is a Corey move as well, by the way.
Yeah, we done all the
to
work.
have
Corey's
no
like, "Oh,
impact,
no, it was
but
great,
totally take credit for it.
Hey, he thought he was the one that did it. It's not his fault.
And they save the day, and that's.
And after after the credits, Dana and Peter get married, which I had no idea. I'd never seen that.
Mm-hmm. And then
they get the key of the city. The mayor actually
gives
acknowledges their heroism and gives them the key to the city. So unlike the last time, they don't get fucked.
Yeah, and that is roll credits.
Yes. There was one thing that we didn't mention in the beginning when they went to the birthday party to sing. The kids wanted He-Man there.
Yeah, they're like, who are you going to call? He-Man!
Now, this is kind of funny because the cartoon version that we mentioned earlier was done by the same company that did the He-Man cartoon, too. So there's kind of a little nod in there. And actually, the one kid that in the beginning, at that party, that's I'm trying to remember what exactly he says. It's actually Ivan Reitman's son.
Is the one that says they want He-Man, right?
Well, there's somebody that says that the kid says something to the effect that they're stupid or something like that. I'm trying to find the
kids.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to find the line here. He says the Ghostbusters are full of crap. That's Jason Reitman, who has directed.
Oh, my dad says you're full of crap.
Yeah, yeah. Which his dad in real life is Ivan Reitman, the director of the film. One other thing I wanted to point out too is that Titanic shows up, and we have got a cameo by Cheech Marin who says, "Better late than never."
Yeah.
So. But yeah, that's all the little facts that I had here that I hadn't already spit out. So anyhow, we're gonna go to commercial, and after commercials, we'll say if this movie holds up.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
It's commercial time. Vic, why don't you tell people where they can find you?
You can find me online at MillerKing51 on the internet and online on Xbox One at Black and Angry. That's BLAQ and Angry.
Corey?
You can find
you thought just because I wouldn't let Vic go first it was going to be nice. No. You can find me at BradScottComedy.com, social media at BradScottComedy, comedian Brad Scott on Facebook. Click like. Corey?
You can find me
Corey, I want you to wait until I get done telling people where they can find The Showdown. You can find us on Twitter at The Showdown Pod, Instagram at The Showdown Pod, and on Facebook, The Showdown Podcast. Click Showdown Podcast. Click like somebody should. All right, go ahead.
All right, you can find me on Twitter at NKOGonzo. You can also find me on the Letterboxd app at NKOGonzo.
And please rate and review us on iTunes. Everyone that gives us a review on iTunes will be sent a special Showdown prize. So when you give us a review, hit us up on Twitter or Facebook, and we'll get your information and send you out a fabulous prize. All right, let's get back to the show. All right, we're back with the Showdown podcast. This is our Survivor Series episode featuring Ghostbusters 2, 1989 hit sequel to the 1984 blockbuster. The movie earned $215 million worldwide against a budget of $37 million. It has a score on Rotten Tomatoes of 50% from the critics and 61% from the audience. And it has a ranking on IMDb of 6.5 out of 10. So that's the facts behind it. That's what the people and the critics think. So now it's time to figure out and find out what the Showdown podcast thinks. So we'll start with Vic.
Yeah, you missed. I thought you were going to say the final fact that I saw there about they had the highest 3-day gross of any movie that came out that year until the next year until the next weekend that Batman came out.
Oh, the next weekend.
The next weekend, Batman blew him out of the water. Poor Ghostbusters.
Good year for movies, though.
It was a very good year for movies. Ghostbusters 2, the story was a little lame to me. I didn't very much like just the big bad in it was basically no one. You know, the slime was the bad guy throughout most of the movie. Despite that, however, the movie is still fun as hell. Like it's funny. There's a good amount of throwbacks in there to a lot of kick back to the history of what happened to them. Like I like that they tell you right off the bat that they were dicked over by the city after the end of the last one. You know that all this stuff has happened. And then bringing back again Dana and what's his name?
Lewis.
Bring back Dana and Lewis was a good pullback to bring them back into the show. I enjoy the show, and I say that it definitely is makes it a contender for the Hall of Fame.
Corey?
Aside from some of the CG stuff that I said looked really bad, but I mean that's a product of the time period. I really enjoy it, and to me it's not better than the first. But I still think it really does hold up, and I say yes, it gets a thumbs up.
So it's already there?
Yep.
Here's what I'll say. It's very hard to make a sequel that holds up to the first. Lost World has a 51% on Rotten Tomatoes. Jaws 2 has a 55%. So I love this movie as a kid. So there's a lot of nostalgia that came with rewatching it again, and I've seen it over the years, but I hadn't seen it in a little while. And yeah, it's unanimous. I feel like it holds up. Again, I kind of agree with you, Vic. The bad guy didn't seem that bad, right? Like he didn't seem that powerful,
Right.
Or like it was even that hard to beat him.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, though, they did have to get the Statue of Liberty to walk down the street, but I feel like there could have been
But that was
other
to defeat
things.
the slime, not him, though. Like
Well,
that was
no. To be even more honest, that was to defeat New Yorker's shitty attitude.
That's true.
Like, I mean, that's what it came down
That
to.
is exactly right.
And the biggest person that helped was the people of New York,
Right.
As opposed to even the Ghostbusters. You know,
Yeah.
had the people of New York not decided to start singing, they would have just died, and that baby would have been running the world.
Right.
Which is kind of funny to think that they just all of a sudden on their own started to sing.
Well, and why did the dude want to be a baby if he was going to take over the world?
Because he would grow up. He didn't want to go into an 80-year-old man because then
No, but why would you also want to be a baby? Why wouldn't you want to be like
I would assume that
Michael Jordan?
Maybe you can't possess a person because they try to fight it. Like I think being as a baby,
Would he then? Would he also then turn into his own physical form, or would he be the baby? Because I find it hard to believe that baby could just take over the world.
I think he would just possess the baby because he was a ghost.
So then, wait, he has to wait for the baby to get old enough to conquer the world.
Yeah.
So it's just like planting the seed. That's
Maybe,
even worse.
unless-
That's way worse.
Theoretically, he's going to take over the world in 20 years.
No, you know what? Let him be the baby. Kill the baby.
Give the baby to the bathtub.
Yeah.
Let the bathtub eat the baby.
Yeah.
Unless he's like Damien in The Omen, where he starts off.
Well, he wasn't even old enough to hold up his own head.
Well, that's true.
But he
Yeah.
could stand
So
on the
again-
edge of that building.
Kill the baby. It'd be a simple solution.
That's the
I wouldn't
answer.
even have had people sing. I wouldn't have brought out a proton pack. I would have brought out a plastic Walmart bag and just wait. Yeah, go ahead. Nope. Oh, here we go. Just
Here.
tie it up.
Chew on this, kid.
So it does hold up for all three of us.
Even though you want to kill the baby.
Even though I want to kill the baby. So let's get into where do you want to start?
What was that?
What do you think that would die?
The movie coming out this weekend.
Okay, so yes, this weekend.
Yes.
Wink, wink. The new Ghostbusters, starring Melissa McCarthy, Kristen Wiig, Kate McKinnon, and Leslie Jones.
Yeah, Leslie Jones.
And so there's been some controversy surrounding this reboot because one of the all-female cast, which drives me crazy because it's like, yeah, I don't know. Oh man, this is such a weird thing to say because it's always offensive. I feel like I'm kind of a feminist because I do believe women should have equal rights. I believe we deserve like everything that we're doing to progress for women. I feel is good. I'm not against any of it. But there's also a part of me that has just met some feminists that just hate men, and they're a small group, but every group has the assholes and the douchebags, and those groups drive me crazy, and especially when people do stuff like that because that adds more credence to their sometimes crazy arguments. Like nobody should have a problem with this being an all-female cast, especially when I believe you have two of the funniest women, two of the funniest people in the history of SNL.
All four of the main cast members, they're all funny in their own right.
They are. Well, I don't know. Leslie Jones, I'm hit or miss with.
Oh,
There's sometimes
funny.
I think she's really, really funny, and then others, and this may not even be her. It could be writing and everything else. But there's some sketches I'm not that I just personally don't find as funny. But definitely Kate McKinnon and Kristen Wiig, almost everything they did on SNL I loved.
Yeah.
And to me, again, they're not even just two of the funniest women. They're two of the funniest people in the history of that show, which has produced a lot of funny people.
Yeah.
And they're going to be great.
Yeah.
Leslie Jones, this feels like a part that's good for her. And in the previews, I've laughed at a lot of what she says. And I didn't like the other controversy was people were saying that, oh, why is she not a scientist? Because that's not the character. Like, Winston wasn't a scientist. And I agree, granted, it's maybe a little weird to just cast Leslie Jones.
The black people aren't scientists.
Well, no, but I'm saying, but do we not know that she's not a daughter of Winston or some shit like that? I don't know. There may be some connection that way, or even if there's not.
That's racist. What the f*** is going on here?
Even if not, like it's not racist to me that she's not a science. Leslie Jones as a person does not come across as a scientist.
But the character that she's portraying is someone who knows New York City. Like the whole point of it is that she intimately knows
She's
New York
street
City.
smart.
Yeah,
She's
she
got-
has a purpose.
you don't buy Kristen Wiig as being the street smart
Right.
hustler type.
Exactly.
Right. She's got each one of them have their own thing that they bring to the table, and hers is being that street smart.
Well, and I think sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, everybody is dogging on this movie before they've even seen it.
Yeah.
Give it a chance because you don't know what the story arcs are for these characters.
Well, here's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like they didn't make Leslie Jones not a scientist because she's black. They made her not a scientist because Leslie Jones does not come across as a scientist.
Well, that's it. That and it's like
She's made her career so far on SNL and other stuff with being the tough talking, a woman who would come across as someone who grew up street smart.
Yeah.
I mean, it fits. It seems like it fits her personality very well. The character that she's going to be playing.
And here's the thing too. Going back to what I was saying about you don't really know the story. Nobody really knows the backstory of these characters yet because the movie's not out, and so you don't know how it's written.
They'll have to wait
A couple days.
another day.
Yeah.
Another day.
A day.
Tomorrow.
Yes. But you know what I'm saying. Anyhow, but what I was going to say was, it's like, who's to say that, a couple of these characters aren't a descendant, like a daughter or a niece of the original Ghostbusters. Everybody's all up in arms with them being female. It's like, who cares?
But here's the thing.
And they're getting their butt hurts because Ghostbusters holds a special place in their heart. Yes, I get it. It's in my top 100.
Wouldn't it be they're getting their butts hurt? They're getting their butt hurts?
Yeah, well, whatever. And because it holds so much place in their heart, but it's like they don't have any idea of, expanding that universe.
Well, people just always want to shit all over reboots now. That annoys me.
But here's the thing, too. It is a reboot to a point. But reboots usually mean that they're going to retell the story using the same basic plot line. Dana is in this movie as Sigourney Weaver is in this movie as her character Dana.
Oh, so it's a sequel.
I don't think it's that it's a sequel. I think it's just another story about ghosts and taking over New York City. The point to it is that you have a whole nother storyline. These are 4 people who know of the Ghostbusters and probably just admire them and have decided that they're good. They can do that. Well, if these guys can do it, we can do it. Why don't we do it? Let's just do it. Okay, let's do it. Yeah, well, we need somebody who can actually build us a proton pack. Do you think you can build a proton pack? We'll find somebody that can do it.
So are you guys looking forward to the movie?
Me personally, yes, I'm actually looking forward to movies, and I've said that from the start of it when everyone was in their uproar and they first found out that because when at first they said they're making another Ghostbusters movie, and they're going to reboot Ghostbusters, and they hadn't exactly announced that it was going to be an all-female cast. I was like, all right, another Ghostbusters, I'm in. Then they said it was going to be an all-female cast, and I remember at some point we were having a discussion about them redoing the Ghostbusters, and someone said something like, "What happens if they're all women or something like that?" And sure enough, that's exactly what they were doing. But I'm in. I think it'll be good.
Well, I think for a while though, they were also saying, "Well, we're going to do an all-female cast, but we'll also do it with the original cast members too. We'll do a separate one." And then there was like, no, we're not going to do the female cast, and it's like back and forth. There was so much indecisiveness. But when they settled on just the female cast, I was fine with it. It's like because like I said, you don't know what the script is going to be like. For all you know, it could be that Ray and Stan and all them, they're too old to be doing that, and so. You could write in the script where they're too old and they're like, you know what, we can't do this. Here, you guys take it on.
Well, and I don't feel like I would buy a new Ghostbusters with them as the Ghostbusters. Yeah. Anyways, it's just like when people want Sting in the WWE to wrestle, and then you see it, and you see that giant bald spot and him barely able to move and almost die in a match, and you're like, oh, maybe it wasn't worth it.
Yeah,
maybe we need a new Sting.
Yeah, so and actually it's weird. Here's the cast listing on Rotten Tomatoes. Has Kristen Wiig, Melissa McCartney, Kate McKinnon, Leslie Jones, Chris Hemsworth, Michael K. Williams, Andy Garcia, Nathan Cordry, Matt Walsh, Sigourney Weaver, Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Cecily Strong, Charles Dance, Ernie Hudson, Rick Moranis, Harold Ramis. How did they pull that off? This truly is Ghostbusters.
Flashback.
He's one of the ghosts.
Is he really?
No,
oh,
no.
you know. Oh.
Bum, bum, ba-dum.
Do you ever think you can actually? What was? You know what? I'm gonna switch it up on you.
Oh yeah.
God damn it!
You fail. So anyhow, I'm looking forward.
I feel if Rick Moranis,
that was a ghost.
If he's in it, it's going to be probably some sort of a flashback or something.
Oh, with him and Harold Ramis.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how they'll do that because Rick Moranis is retired too. So getting him out of retirement is
well, maybe. I mean, these were two of the movies that made his career.
Right. But from what I've heard,
and he may do it just as a tribute to
Harold Ramis.
Yeah, it could be. I've been down with it since the first trailer I saw. There are a lot of people shit on that first trailer and like this. The ghosts look horrible. I thought it looked fine, and I am totally down with it.
Did they not see what the ghosts look like on this one?
Yeah.
Well, didn't Dan Aykroyd say this one has bigger scares and bigger laughs?
Yeah.
I thought I saw an interview where he said something along those lines.
I
Him or
so.
Murray or one of them said something like that.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited as well, and
yeah.
I've been excited. My daughter's super excited. I'm happy that she gets to go watch a movie with like. It sounds cliche, but positive female role models,
There's not a lot of movies out at all that have the main characters are women, let alone the entire main character cast of it are women. So
yeah, I'm totally down with it. So bring it on.
So it gets a 3 for 3 right now. We'll see how we feel about it after it comes out.
Yeah, and now Ghostbusters 2 also to me felt like a very 80s movie.
Oh yeah.
Most definitely.
Especially just like some of the scenes like where Peter Venkman is on the phone, like after Dana shows up to his apartment and he calls Dan Aykroyd and them on the phone, and he has to go into the other room and the cords going through the door. The fact that it's just a ringing phone all the time, and just the clothes and the.
Just think of some of the issues they could have solved if they had cell phones too.
That made me that made me laugh so much harder. Just the fact that you said that, because I just watched Neighbors 2. And there's this scene where Chloe Moretz has their phone and she's trying to get it away from him so they can't call the cops. She runs out of the room and it's got a cord on it, and he like yanks her off her feet and she lands on her ass and she's like, "What the hell?" And he's like, "It's a phone, it's a landline." Like, you're so fucking old.
All right, I felt like we needed some positivity infused in this podcast to try to cover up all of Corey's negativity. He's spitting over there because it took me a minute to pull up the closing song and to get past the YouTube advertisement that he's going to have to now edit out and is shitty about. So we needed to bring some I've sprayed him with the positivity goo. At least that's what me and Vic are telling him it is. Vic gave him a little bit as well.
Now I've got to actually do work.
Now you've got what?
Now I've actually got to do work on
God
the show.
So we thank you so much for listening to our Survivor Series episode about Ghostbusters 2. I felt like this was a good episode.
It was.
I mean, I felt like we've had some stinkers lately, but this one I felt was pretty good.
It's a really positive episode.
It really was, and it's ending on a higher note.
It is.
So, a higher and higher note, actually. But Ghostbusters 2 unanimously goes into our Hall of Fame. It is a survivor, and we are very excited for the reboot that comes out this weekend. Wink, wink. All right, so for Vic Miller, for Corey Miller, I'm Brad Scott. This has been the Showdown Podcast. We'll talk to you next time.